Hello everyone, myself Ketan Bhavsar, Assistant Professor in LJ Engineering College, Ahmedabad. In today's session, we discuss about a multiple process, is and applications. So basically, it's from chapter number 4, Inter-Process Communication in Embedded System. So now, what exactly the multiple processes? What exactly the processes? First of all, we should know what exactly the process and multiple processes. Once we are getting the idea about process and multiple process, then we are getting what exactly the multiple process is. Now, as I already told you, first of all, we should know what exactly the concept of process. A process consists of executable programs, state of which is controlled by the OS, means a operating system. Means a process consists of executable program, means we are talking about the codes, we are talking about the program, state of which is controlled by OS. The state during the running of a process is repeated by process states, means running, block or finish. Process structure, it's the data, object and resources, and process control block, means we are talking about the PC. So the state during the running of the process is represented by the process status. So we are talking about the process status, and in that case we are talking about the running, blocked or finished. Process structure, it's a data, objects and resources, and process control block. Running, which is scheduled to run by the OS, means we are talking about the kernel. OS gives the control of the CPU on a process request. It's called as a system call. So basically, if you're talking about the process, then ultimately we are talking about the kernel and its OS. Based on the OS and kernel, it will directly collaborate with the data, or you can say that with the code. So run by executing the instruction, and the continuous changing of its state take place as the program counter changes. So basically, what exactly program counter that we already studied in previous session, that we already studied in microcontroller, that program counter is work like an executable of the task, right? It will continuously execute the program. It will continuously monitor and observe the variation in the program. So basically, in that case, we are talking about executing the different type of tasks. So basically, in that situation or in that case, we are talking about running and execute the different type of tasks. Now, process. Process is that executing unit of computation which is controlled by some process of the OS for a scheduling mechanism that let it execute on the CPU, and by some process at OS for the resource management. Means what exactly they try to say in terms of process means executing some computational task. If you are talking about some any task which is controlled by some portion of the OS, because whole OS is not necessary, means for one particular task the whole OS is not occupied, fine, because OS is a huge concept. So basically some process of the OS from the scheduling mechanism, because there are some scheduling, because it's start, run, execute and stop. These are the different types of steps, right? So scheduling mechanism that let it execute on the CPU, and by some process it OS for the resource management and other system resource such as a network, file, display or printer. So basically there are the different types of multiple processes or mechanism. If you're talking about the system resources such as a network requirement, file, display or a printer. So these are the basic steps or basic requirement that we are considering right now in terms of the process point of view. Now if you're talking about the example of the multiple process, or what exactly the example of process. So now we study the example of process with this particular example. So as you can see, we are taking the example of one of the most popular devices, or we can say that one of the most popular gadgets right nowadays. It's a mobile phone. Software highly complex, number of functions, ISR, process, threads, multiple physical, virtual devices, drivers, several program objects that must be concurrently processed on a single processor. Definitely, if you're talking about a smartphone, there are right now in smartphone there are a number of features available. If you're talking about any smartphone right now, it comes with a number of processes. Right now it comes with a number of technologies. Right now it comes with a number of applications. So one single processor can execute a number of tasks. So it will play a number of tasks. So definitely it comes with the ISR, threads, multiple physical layer, virtual device objects, and several types of objects. So voice encoding and convolutional process, the device captures the spoken word through a speaker and generate the digital signal after analog to digital conversion. The digits are encoded and converted using the codec. Codec is nothing but it is one type of digital device which generally used to convert from the analog to digital converter. It's AC97 is one of the best example for converting the voice signal into the digital form. And modeling, processing, display processing. So these are the basic example. Right now I'm talking about a multiple process in smartphone. You can take any example if you're talking about the multiple processes. Now what is processor? We can understand with a simple diagram. See, unit of computational execute of the code in which the control by the OS scheduler, inter-process communication, resource manager, system memory, and other system resources such as a network, file, display, or a printer. Access control mechanism and are processed concurrently. So basically, if you're talking in this particular diagram, as you can see, there are the different type of processes. Process number 1, 2, up to n-1 and up to n processes. So basically, each and every process have a process control block, which generally used to control that particular block. It will continuously observe the process is over or finished or not. If it will be finished, then it will be executed or it will be available for the next process. So as you can see, we have different type of processes up to process n, and each and every process have its unique process control block. So basically, each and every process is controlled and monitored and observed with the help of the PCB process control block. What is PCB process control block? A data structure having the information using which the OS control the process state. So as I already told you, because the main objective is very clear that you have to check each and every time that your process control block, your process state is generally observed and controlled with help of the processor. So basically, the main task of the PCB, or you can say that the process control block, is that which the OS control the process state. Stored in the protected memory area of the kernel and consists of information about the process state. So each and every time it will give the information about the process state, and also it will continuously protect the memory area of the kernel. Information about the process state, a process control block, a process control blocks. So basically, if you're talking about the different type of process control block, what is process control block? How you can identify the different types of processes going on or not? How you can identify your task is running or not? How you can identify your task is finished or not? So each and every process have that process ID, right? Each and every process have that priority, means which type of the process that you are running right now. If you are talking about the smartphone, then smartphone have a highest priority of your calls. After that, messages, and after that, it comes with the social media. So basically, if you're talking about the process ID, then in this type of the concept, we have to take about the process ID, process priority, parent process, child process, address to the next process PCB which will run. So basically, in that case, we are talking about the different types of ID, and in that case, we are talking about the process ID, process priority, parent process, child process, and address to the next process PCB which is running. So basically, to identify the information about the process state, then we have to follow this type of the steps. We have to follow this type of strategies. So I hope that you are getting the idea of what exactly I am trying to convey, and I hope that you are also getting the idea what exactly process is and process control block is. So in multiple process communication, we are talking about mobile phone devices, right? In terms of the mobile phone, right now I am considering only mobile phones, but you are getting, or you are taking any example, which is the multiple processes right now going on. You are taking the best example, like if you're talking about any attendance system, if you're talking about any type of authentication system, which is talking about the face recognition right now, which is one of the most important factor which is going on in current scenario. So basically, in terms of the mobile phone devices, in terms of the security devices, they all are dealing with the multiple processes. If you're talking about the security concept, if you're talking about the face recognition, then what exactly the application is? First of all, it will recognize the face, it will detect the face. After that, it will try to recognize whom it is. Means it is a boy or girl. It it is a boy or girl, then identify it is a boy, yes. Then it will identify the name, age, or any other factor. It based on your application, right? So it will take a photograph, it will detect the face, it will recognize the face. After that, it will give you authentication. If it will match with your database, then it will allow or it will not allow. So right now, these are the applications which are all are dealing with the multiple processes. Again, I am telling you the process is generally executed one task at a time. No processor generally deals with the multiple data type. No processor is dealing with the multiple data acknowledgement system. This one is the advantage of OS. And the advantage of OS is because of that reason you can see the multiple processes going on. But actually only single instruction set is executed at a time. Not any processor currently available in all over the world, it can deal with the multiple instruction set. No, then all processor is generally executed on single instruction set at a time, but it will executable too fastly, and because of that reason, you can feel like your processor is multitasking, your mobile phone is multitasking, your application is multitasking, your device is multitasking, but it is practically not possible. Right? So here we are taking one simple example of mobile phones, but we are taking any example. You are taking any type of the examples which is related to the real life applications. If you are talking about the security system, authentication system, if you are talking about the attendance system, if you are talking about any school management system, you can take any example. Right? Ultimately, we are dealing with the multiple processes. Ultimately, we are handling the multiple processes. Ultimately, we are handling the multiple processing and execute and send the task to the OS and operating system. So basically, we are dealing with the number of tasks. So I hope that you are getting the idea what exactly I am trying to convey. What exactly I am trying to tell you that what exactly the applications of OS is. What exactly the applications of multiple processes. Right, fine. So in terms of the inter-process communication, we are dealing with only multiple processes, but in the next session we will discuss about the task. We will discuss about the task scheduling. We will discuss about the threads. We are talking about the multiple threads. We are talking about the ISR which is related to the threads. We are talking about the ISR which is related to the multiple threads. So basically, first of all, in this session, we have to focus only on the process. What exactly the process is, what exactly the multiple process is, and for understanding the multiple processes, we are taking one simple example of the mobile phone because right now it is one of the most popular gadgets. Fine. So I hope that you are getting the idea in process control block. Fine. So still, if you feel any doubt which is related to the process control block, if you related any query which is related to a processor, which is related to the OS part, which is related to the process and how you can configure and control with a process control block, so you can feel free to contact me. So thank you for watching.